My sister took over power of attorney just until things were sorted. She sold our family cabin without telling anyone, then told me it needed too much work anyway. I tracked down the buyer, found the undervalued sale price, and filed a fraud complaint. She lost her rights. I bought the cabin back at auction, with her legal fees. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to take my own sister to court. I also never thought she'd sell our childhood cabin behind my back and lie to my face about it. I grew up in northern Minnesota. Our dad built a cabin near Grand Rapids when he was in his 30s, right after he and Mom got married. He always said it was going to stay in the family forever. It wasn't anything fancy. 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, a screened porch, and a view of the lake that made you feel like the world was quiet for once. That place was my entire childhood. Summer weekends, snowball fights in the winter, fishing off the dock with my dad. My sister Dana and I were close growing up. She's 3 years older. Bossy, always had to have the last word. But still, she was my sister. Things started falling apart in late 2022. Our dad got sick, pancreatic cancer. It moved fast. One day, he was helping a neighbor haul firewood, and a few weeks later, he couldn't get out of bed. I live in Denver now and was flying back and forth to help where I could. But Dana lives in Duluth, not far from Dad's house. So naturally, she stepped in more. She told me she was handling the bills, the doctor's appointments, and helping Dad sort through legal stuff. She said, "I'm just getting power of attorney so I can pay bills and make decisions if something happens. It's just temporary." I didn't think twice. I trusted her. I shouldn't have. Dad passed away 5 months later. It broke me. He was everything I wanted to be. Quiet, hardworking, didn't ask for much. After the funeral, Dana said we'd go through the estate and figure everything out. I flew back to Denver, still grieving, assuming we'd sit down in a month or so and go over Dad's will. Except there was no will. He never got to it. A few weeks later, I brought up the cabin. I said, "We should get it winterized soon. I'll come up and help." Dana hesitated. Then she dropped it like it was no big deal. "Oh, I sold the cabin a couple weeks ago." I just stood there on the phone, frozen. "What do you mean you sold it?" "It needed too much work. The roof was shot, the dock was rotting, nobody was using it. I thought it was best." "You didn't tell me." "That's not your decision to make alone." "I had power of attorney," she snapped. "I made the decision while Dad was still alive. It's done." That night, I didn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice in my head, "It's done." Like that meant it was over. But I knew I wasn't letting this go. A few days later, I called the county recorder's office. Asked for the deed history. Sure enough, the cabin had been transferred to a couple from Iowa for $97,000. That cabin was worth at least $180,000, even in rough shape. So not only did she sell it without telling me, she sold it for half of what it was worth. I started digging. The buyers had no idea about the backstory. I reached out, told them I was a family member, just trying to understand how they came to buy it. They were polite, even let me see the original sale agreement. Turns out, Dana sold it privately. No realtor. No listing. She wrote it off as a quick family transaction to avoid fees. She forged Dad's signature on several closing documents. Even worse, she transferred some of the proceeds to her personal checking account before Dad had passed, while still under POA. I took all of it, bank statements, emails, screenshots, and I filed a fraud complaint with the state. Then I got a lawyer. She had no idea what was coming. The state launched an investigation. My lawyer said we had a solid case for breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, and elder financial abuse. At first, I thought Dana would try to talk her way out of it, maybe apologize, maybe say it was a mistake. But no, she doubled down. She lawyered up too and claimed everything she did was legal. Claimed Dad gave her verbal permission to sell the cabin. claimed he was mentally competent at the time, so the sale was valid. I knew that was garbage. I had texts from Dana during those months where she said Dad was confused, forgetful, and couldn't remember what day it was. And I had hospital notes showing he was on strong painkillers during the time of the sale. My lawyer filed a civil suit and pushed for a court review of her handling of the estate. That's when everything started falling apart for Dana. During discovery, we got access to her financial records. She'd used the cabin sale money to pay off credit cards, buy a new Subaru, and take a trip to Arizona. There wasn't much left by then. In court, she sat there with her arms folded like she was bored. The judge didn't buy her act, not one bit. The ruling came down hard. She was removed as executor of the estate. Power of attorney was revoked retroactively, and the sale was declared fraudulent. The court froze her accounts and ordered the cabin to be returned to the estate. But the Iowa couple had already started fixing it up and didn't want to walk away. So it went to a forced public auction. And that's when I made my move. I pulled every string I had, took out a loan against my home equity, used my savings, sold some of my tools, and even my motorcycle. My lawyer said I was crazy, but I didn't care. I wasn't losing that cabin again. At the auction, Dana didn't show. Maybe she couldn't face it. Maybe she thought it was over. I won the bid, got the cabin back. I paid $102,000. Later, I found out that Dana's legal fees and the restitution the court ordered her to pay came out to nearly $105,000. She had to liquidate what little she had left. She even had to sell her car. Her house went into pre-foreclosure. Her lawyer dropped her. But I wasn't done yet. After I got the cabin back, I thought maybe I'd feel at peace. But the truth was, every time I drove up the gravel road and saw that A-frame, something twisted in my gut. The place felt different now. Not because of what it looked like, but because of what had happened to get it back. And then came the letters. 2 of them. Both handwritten. One from Dana. One from her daughter, Macy, my niece. The one from Dana was exactly what I expected. Guilt-tripping, blame-shifting garbage. She wrote, "You don't know what it was like taking care of Dad alone. You had the luxury of flying in and playing the hero while I was dealing with the mess every day. I deserve something for what I went through." I stared at that line for a long time. I deserve something. She ended the letter by saying she wanted to start over and that family matters more than money. I didn't write back. But the letter from Macy hit differently. She was 17. We used to be close. I taught her how to fish. Used to take her on snowmobile rides around the cabin. In her letter, she asked me why her mom was being sued, why their bank account was empty, and why they might have to move in with her grandma. She didn't ask for money. She just wanted to understand. I didn't know how to respond. Because what could I say? That her mom lied, stole, and wrecked everything? I didn't reply to that letter either. Not yet. Then something even stranger happened. The couple who had bought the cabin originally, the ones from Iowa, reached out again. They'd driven by and saw I'd reclaimed it. They said they felt bad about everything and wanted to talk. We met at a diner halfway between Grand Rapids and Duluth. They brought a folder with them. Inside were receipts, photos, and a list of repairs they had done on the cabin, over $14,000 worth. I could see it in their faces. They wanted me to reimburse them. They weren't demanding. They weren't rude. But they had poured their savings into a place they thought would be theirs forever. That was the twist I didn't see coming. Because legally, I didn't owe them a dime. But morally, I wasn't sure. So I made them an offer. I offered them $10,000. That was what I could spare. I told them I respected how they handled things quietly, decently, and that I was sorry my family's mess dragged them into it. The husband shook my hand and said, "You didn't have to do that." His wife hugged me. They accepted the check and walked away without looking back. For the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe I could breathe. But that peace didn't last. 2 weeks later, I got served. Dana was suing me. She was claiming emotional distress, saying I ruined her reputation, destroyed her finances, and turned the entire family against her. It was laughable. But court isn't about laughs. It's about money. And defending myself meant more time, more fees, more digging. My lawyer said, let's go scorched earth. So I did. I pulled every old text, every voicemail, every email she ever sent Dad. Especially the ones where she said things like, what am I supposed to do with a half-dead man and a moldy cabin? I subpoenaed bank records showing she was transferring funds before Dad had even signed the POA. I got statements from his hospice nurse saying Dana barely showed up at the end. And I testified calmly, clearly, about what she'd done. About how she tried to erase our family's history for a quick payout. When it was her turn to speak, she broke down. Cried in the courtroom. Said I was heartless. Said I wanted to punish her. She wasn't wrong. The judge threw out her case in less than an hour. Called it a waste of the court's time. I walked out of the courthouse and didn't look back. I drove straight to the cabin. Lit a fire. Sat on the old couch and listened to the crackle of wood and wind off the lake. That night, I wrote a letter to Macy. I told her I was sorry she got caught in the middle. That I didn't want her to suffer for her mother's choices. That, if she ever needed help, real help, she could call me. But I also told her the truth about what happened. Every ugly part of it. I haven't heard back. Dana lives in a one-bedroom apartment now. Last I heard, she's working nights at a call center. Her credit's shot, her friends don't call anymore, and most of our extended family won't speak to her. I didn't do all that to ruin her. I did it because she lied, stole, and thought she could walk away with something that wasn't hers. Thought she could erase me. But I remembered what Dad always said, people show you who they are when money gets involved. She showed me. And I made damn sure she paid for it.